So election results are in. You guys could probably or already have seen all of those across the state, but I wanted to break down an element on the ballot that is causing a lot of confusion and a lot of division. A lot of people, we talked about it, whether the Proposition 3 or Amendment 3 was a yes or a no and why. And so we talked with Kevin Halderman on what's burning about why he thought it was a bad idea and all the hidden things in that amendment. And so going in, we weren't really sure, and it was fairly close across the state. I mean, I know that our local counties, Miller, Morgan, and Camden, voted no to Amendment 3, but across the state, you see those big counties like St. Charles, St. Louis County, St. Louis City, all of those counties with those huge populations, they were yes in favor. And so now that it has passed, some of the big questions I saw, and I took this right out of St. Louis Dispatch, is how soon will you be able to buy? Amendment 3 goes into effect in early December, and that's going to trigger a process that could see the state issue its first comprehensive marijuana dispensary facility to current dispensaries as early as February 6th. So I don't know if that means like the 7th or if then there'd be a period there. Also, how much can you buy? Once stores are licensed, anybody 21 or older, this is kind of crazy to me, up to 3 ounces per day. I mean, that's 21 ounces a week. That's over a pound a week you could purchase. Now that's dried, unprocessed. The state uses a separate weighing system to determine the legal amounts of gummies and other products. So just some of these questions that were immediately getting thrown out there. Can you resell marijuana? No, still illegal. There are some exceptions if you're playing caretaker. How much marijuana can you grow? So all those questions you can look on the St. Louis Dispatch. They've got all of those. One of the other big questions, can you consume in public? And unless it's a designated area, it does not look like it will be, and you could get fined up to $100. And another thing I found interesting is they are giving the cities power to put a vote in front of the people, and if 60% of the people don't want that county or that municipality to have recreational marijuana, they can put it on their ballot, and then they could lay down a city ordinance that they didn't accept it. Citywide, you're not allowed to. So that was kind of interesting as well. And then also a big thing is the expungements are going to have to start. All of these people, nonviolent criminals who are locked up from marijuana, THC crimes, their records have a chance to get expunged. However, these people locked up are going to have to petition the government to allowed to be get out, and then they're going to have to go through a lengthy process to have it expunged, whereas people who may have misdemeanor charges, those will be done pretty quickly. So I thought it was kind of wild, a lot of the details, but you talk about recreational marijuana, Chris, in 38 pages, and now the process begins, and it's happening quickly.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear we've learned in the last 2-4 years that our voting system is broken, right? Our election system is broken, and we need to figure it out. You know, whether you agree with what passed or didn't pass, but it's like Proposition 3, and you had, an expert in to talk about, I think it was like 38 pages of what would change the Missouri Constitution. And so you got 38 pages of legalese with stuff hidden in there, in page 12 and 24 and 36 that, nobody knows about, but all that's on the ballot is it okay to legalize marijuana?
Hey, and not to mention, Chris, that when this hits the floor, they start to have discussions about this. This might be one of 15 different bills or amendments or topics being discussed. And so you're supposed to be diligent and read a 38-page amendment and a 126-page bill and be prepped and ready for open dialogue and discussion as the voted or elected representative of the people. And that's really how the loopholes come in, is you make it appear like one thing, smoke and mirrors, you vote on it, and then once it's in vote, now you're really in trouble, because once the CEO, this chief executive officer, is named, they are held accountable by nobody except for themselves and those 4 priorities. If you didn't get to catch it, I highly encourage you to go back and watch that interview with Kevin Halderman. But he talked about the 4 things that person's going to try to do, and that has a lot to do with education and information. But it doesn't list it has to have anything to do with education about marijuana, recreational marijuana, medicinal marijuana. It just says education and awareness, and that's a vague way they could do just about anything they want to within our schools. And that's really just a microcosm of what's happening now in government. I mean, we could go on about it for hours and hours. But as we see, it's going to change the way people do business. It's going to change the way people vacation. And you could still This is what you mentioned you were worried about, and a really good point. If you're pulled over by police, can you be considered driving impaired? Driving while impaired, whether alcohol or marijuana or other substance, it's still illegal. So when someone is pulled over because they are suspected of driving under the influence of, let's say, marijuana, the police can still perform a series of tests to determine if the driver is impaired. The officer can also ask a drug recognition expert to screen the driver to get their expert opinion. So don't think, for those of you out there, you recreational smokers, that you now have a pass to get behind the wheel of the car, because that's still impaired.